Today's Faceoff on Fox Soul. Challengers Quan LX and Big Angry Adams. Ready to go blow by blow on those hot topics. Faceoff on Fox Soul starts right now.
You know, I feel like the important sort of data point, and you know, Steve talks about it a lot, he's going to probably talk about it a little more tonight, is that these are white Christians. That this is a state that is overrepresented by white Christians that are going to participate in these caucuses, yes. Especially tonight. Earlier today, reached out to Robbie Jones from the Public Religion Research Institute, knowing that we were going to talk about Iowa. And this is a hyper-evangelical white state. And he said the following to me: Iowa is about 61% white Christian. The country as a whole is approximately 41% white Christian. And in Iowa, we're talking about evangelical white Christians. And he said the following. Because I asked him, what do they get out of supporting Donald Trump? Because he keeps losing, he keeps delivering losses and losses and losses.
In this round, here's Charles Big Angry Adams.
Quanell, that was just a snippet of major network MSNBC host Joy Reid condemning Iowans for supporting Donald Trump overwhelmingly in last week's caucuses and condemning them as white Christian racists, saying they're too stupid to vote for their economic interests. She seems to have forgotten that in 2008, it was Iowa that gave Barack Obama his first very early victory, and it was a catalyst to him securing the nomination. It was considered the most important contest of that primary season. And of course, now we're just all racist because they support it. And that's what we talk about, bigotry and racism all the time. But the only type of bigotry you can get away with in America now and not lose a media job or not lose any kind of job and just still get the applause you get all day is if you talk about a couple of groups. If you talk about Christians and you talk about white people. She combined both of them, called them stupid, because of course they're not going to play that whole clip where she went off. And it's all about complexion, skin color, and nothing else. She's forgotten that they supported Barack Obama. I personally am tired of it being okay to condemn white people holistically just because of the color of their skin, and Joy Reid should be fired over it.
Charles, she was right and wrong at the same time, Charles. She was right because we as African Americans, as black people in this country, have always struggled with the reality of how could white people go to church on Sunday, praise the name of Jesus Christ, and say they follow the Bible, but be so hateful and evil and wicked toward black people who was also Christians. We as African Americans had our churches burned down by white men who would go to church on Sunday and burn down black churches on Sunday night. We as black people would have black children at Sunday school, and white men who claim to love Jesus would go and bomb the Sunday school service and kill black children while they're worshiping. We as black people just witnessed Dylan Roof right here a few years ago going to a South Carolina church where black folks having Bible study and claim to be praying with them, then started killing them at the same time. So she's right when she says that Iowa is 61% white Christians, but why would you vote for Donald Trump when Donald Trump has demonstrated he has a lot of bigoted issues and made bigoted comments toward blacks and Latinos that does not reflect the values of a Christian who follows Jesus Christ. But she's wrong because you've made a valid point. How can you say that about them when he delivered for Barack Obama when he ran? So it's a contradiction of the facts. But at the same time, we have to be honest. She didn't say anything different than what Hillary Clinton said. She didn't say anything different than what Joe Biden pretty much said when he told black people that if you don't vote for me, you're not black. So politicians and people like her, these quote unquote pundits, are all in the Kool-Aid and don't know the flavor, but Grandmama said it best. They don't know the behind from a hole in the ground.
Okay, so here's the thing. You just went on this tirade condemning white people because of monstrous white people like Dylan Roof, right? And those that burn black churches in the Deep South. Do you think it would be okay, right? So we have, what is it, about 63% of the violent murders in this country every year are committed by black male violent criminals.
I
right?
disagree with that lie.
No, that's the truth. I know you don't like data, but what a racist does is then takes these sliver of the black male community, the violent criminals, and then uses it to condemn all black men generally. right? Based solely on their shared complexion. And that is the heart of racism. It's disgusting because it's not the color of their skin that drives them to be violent murderers. It is whatever factors, poverty, anger, broken
But
homes.
Charles,
it has
white
nothing
Christians
to do. Hold on,
have to ask themselves the tough question. Have we really been Christian-like toward black people in America?
I know you don't want to talk about it because all you do is spew bigotry.
That's a fact.
And you don't want to hear about it.
White Christians have not done the Christian thing toward black people in America and people of color.
For you to condemn every white person because of the horrible stuff that Dylan Roof did, and just a bunch of white Iowans.
Not just Dylan Roof.
Okay.
White politicians have done in the name of Christianity.
So let's say you're a white guy, right? So it's about I think it's almost 300-fold more likely for a black male violent offender to kill a white person.
And some lying white man is telling that statistic. Some lying, bigoted white boy is putting together those statistics.
Then a white person
We're not
to kill a
involved in that
black
process.
person. Okay, I know you don't like data, right? In fact,
I don't like lying white data.
In fact, the numbers
I don't
are
like
probably
manipulated
worse
white data
because they've
that's
actually,
rooted in white
they've
supremacy
actually done
to fit a
lot of
narrative that's not
analysis,
factual.
and they are often misidentifying perpetrators as white that aren't white. So you're actually wrong. The numbers are actually worse than the data, and it points the other way.
No,
but let's say,
that's the narrative that white guys like you want to push in the American public.
Let me finish. But let's say you're a white person and someone you love was murdered by a black person, right? Would that justify you hating all black people?
That's the way it was in America.
Okay, no, I'm talking about right now.
That's the way it was in America.
Would that no, but let's talk about, because the
And
only
no, it
person,
would not justify
the only person, you're right, it wouldn't. But it also, Dylan Roof being a little monster that needs to, has he been put to death yet? Because I hope he has, right? But that does not justify condemning all Christian white Iowans, which is just what you do.
Let me give an
you
example.
Do it all the time.
Let me give an example,
Give
a
me
modern
an
example.
How racism is okay
in the
for
Dylan
you.
Roof case, the judge had a Bible sitting up at his arraignment, at Dylan Roof's arraignment. The judge had a Bible sitting in front of him on his desk, and the judge did this. This man was a terrorist and a cold-blooded killer. The judge said, let us show sympathy to Mr. Roof's family and let us pray for Mr. Roof's family. How in the hell are you going to tell the American people and the victims of this man's terroristic slaughter and brutal murder to pray for his family? Did you tell the American people to pray for Osama bin Laden's family? Hell no, you didn't. But that white judge could find some type of Christian love toward that white damn terrorist, but that same type of Christian love don't go toward people of color who've been charged with similar crimes.
I love how you pull snippets out. First of all, the judge led with the victims and the victims' families, right?
And said, pray for Dylan Roof's family.
But they didn't say pray for Dylan Roof. In fact, he
said, pray for the perpetrator's family.
He sent his ass to death row.
And said, pray for his family. The hell with praying for his family.
But again, how does that justify you condemning, or Joy Reid condemning, all white Christian
I'm not
Iowans?
doing that.
That's exactly what you're doing.
I'm saying
you're
too many white
up
Christians,
unrelated crap.
Too many white Christians
okay, it's okay
have
to be
not
racist.
done the Christian thing toward black people in America.
In this round, here's Quanell X.
Charles, there's a very disturbing article, man, that I read in the New Yorker. And this article is disturbing to me because it talks about how the present generation of our young people, and now people of our age group also, are redefining normal traditional roles in relationships. It's no longer the traditional monogamous relationship between a man and a woman. It's now, in my opinion, the old school guys call it an orgy, but now it's called polyamorous or polyramous or something like that. You're a little better at than what I am. But these couples now are two couples together who decide to be in a relationship, and they swap wives, and they share men, and they share women, and the men probably share one another, and the women share one another. It's sick. It's madness. We have completely in this nation lost our moral sense of shame. And if this is how people are going to live, you got a right to live like that. But now to promote that is something that should be celebrated and applauded, something that we should really try to understand and accept, it's despicable and disgraceful to me. Charles, how can a married man that truly loves his wife agree to get in a relationship to where you watch another man lay his meat to your wife? If that's your wife and you love your wife, how can you be a real man and watch this man make your wife bend over and touch all 10? And yet you gonna watch that and claim you love her till death do us part. Any woman that's got a husband like that. You ain't got a husband. You got a damn fool that's masquerading as a husband. What woman would be willing to just sit back and watch your husband have sex with another woman and don't have a problem with that? That ain't polyamorous. That's nothing but a damn orgy, period.
Okay, well, I think if you read, it was actually, I believe, the New York magazine, not the New Yorker magazine. But if you read the article, I was shocked at some of the language, right? There was ethical non-monogamy and unethical non-monogamy, which I guess is just cheating. And there was polyamory, and it focused on something called a polycule, which is like a foursome, two heterosexual couples that have open, like the husband and the other wife, and then they bring other people in. But I don't necessarily think it's all in the same room. I think they're just living very distinct lives. Personally, I don't care.
Does it matter if it's the same room or not?
But personally,
I wouldn't care if it was the room next door.
Look.
You hear your wife over there screaming to the top of her lungs because some other dude over there going balls deep, and you sitting there talking about, well, you know, we just living our best life now.
Okay,
we just living freestyle now.
If people are happy doing it, I couldn't deal with it. I have far more problems. I don't know if you saw on social media last week, a musician named Zeddy blew up because he had a joint baby shower for his might have been four, I think 5 pregnant girlfriends, right? Now there, I think clearly you're gonna have a resource issue. Even though it looked like he had about 500,000 followers and had building a good career, you're going to have a father time issue, right? Broken home from the outset. I have problems with that, right? I think we need more fathers, especially black fathers in the home, and we need to stop having so many children out there with broken homes. But if people want to do this stuff, if they want to, you know, if someone like, do you think Muslim men shouldn't have multiple wives?
That's a whole different reality.
Well, but I
because
mean,
wait a minute.
There's a lot of people in your faith that think it's okay.
But wait a minute. There's serious rules attached to that.
Okay.
And in fact, you must go before a Muslim council of scholars.
But again, you're not answering the question.
Wait a minute. To be permitted to do that, they ain't going before nobody. They just hooking up doing this.
So if you went
There's
to
some
church
serious rules in the Muslim
and
religion.
the church said, okay, so these Mormons that have like 15 young wives, that's okay?
It's biblically accepted.
Okay. So it's okay.
Not to marry little kids, though.
It's
not
okay.
to marry young girls, though, and exploit and rape young children in the name of religion. I disagree with that. That ain't religion.
If you look at both the Old Testament and, more importantly, the Quran, you see a lot of support for very old men and young women. I think it's disgusting. But young girls,
well, Charles,
actually.
There are a lot of old men today that date young women.
But again, they're all called monsters. They all
because I don't want nothing
They all
money.
flew on that Jeffrey Epstein.
I don't want nothing over
money. But
money.
Here's the thing.
How many old
men
really want an old woman?
Just to be clear, what you're saying
How many old women want an old man?
What you're saying is a bunch of hipster New Yorkers getting their polycule on, that's bad. But as a Muslim, if you go to your temple and you convince some other Muslims with a bunch of wives that you want to go bang 5 or 6 chicks, right, and call them all your wives.
Don't work like that.
Okay. It absolutely works like that.
There's restrictive laws in place.
Oh, my God.
Wait a minute.
Oh, my God.
Let me finish.
Why?
And her parents.
So
and the woman's parents are involved.
Women
and your parents involved also. So, Lord, ain't that easy like you talking, brother.
Okay.
There's some serious restrictive law in place.
Women are treated in most of the Muslim-dominated world. Women are treated as less than, right? And they are
like
forced
in America.
They are forced to
like
not
in
at
America.
all. Not at all like
because
in America.
America guilty of the same crimes.
No, they are not, right?
America's
and you were talking
always
about women
mistreated
treated
women.
like chattel.
America's
but
always
that's
reduced
okay
women
with
to
you
second-class citizens.
because you're Muslim.
And women still fight for those rights in America right now today.
If women want to have sexual freedom, oh my God, that's Quanell judging it. It's a bunch of nonsense.
Let me ask
You're
you a
nothing
question,
but
Charles.
a hypocrite.
So what you're saying to me?
And a sexist misogynist.
Wait a minute. So what you're saying to me?
Talk to me.
Is that now you're a married man.
Mm-hmm.
Do you really believe any married man that will permit that with his wife truly loves that woman?
I can't judge other people. Would I want it? Hell no.
Ask you.
But there are plenty of men that do.
And
you know what?
That ain't
Good
no man.
for them.
That ain't no man.
Well, by
That's
what
a
metric?
clown masquerading as a man.
By what metric?
Let me
so it's
say this,
okay, again,
Charles.
just to be clear for the audience, it's okay for a dude to have 10 wives, especially if he's Muslim.
That's not what we're talking about here.
But it's not, I'm talking about it.
And let me say
but
this to you.
But it's not okay for a chick
Any
to
man
have
with
2
10
husbands.
wives is a fool.
Okay, so.
Because even the scripture says one wife is better for you if you but knew.
Okay.
Yeah, you can't deal with the one wife you got. How the hell you going to get 10?
Okay. So despite the fact that there's an overwhelming number of men with multiple wives in the Middle East, right, and you support that, But how about women? Should women be able to have multiple husbands?
I disagree with that.
Well, what's the difference?
Because my position is...
What's the difference?
Let me finish. My position is a scriptural one based on Bible and Quran.
Oh, my God. Your position...
Neither Bible nor Quran nor the Torah promotes women having multiple husbands.
Is misogyny. It is treating women like chattel.
But no religious book that I've ever read promotes women sleeping with multiple different men.
So men can
marrying them.
Men can bang all the chicks they want.
No, it don't work like that.
But women can't.
That's called fornication and adultery.
Okay.
Men should not do that.
Okay. So wait, you don't fornicate?
Excuse me?
You didn't fornicate outside of marriage?
Not now.
Okay.
But when I was a young man, yes.
All right.
When I was a teenager, yes.
So and you fornicated with multiple women?
When I was a teenager and I was a young man, yes.
Did that make you a whore?
But wait a minute.
Did that make you a
I
whore?
wouldn't follow my religion.
Did that make you a whore?
Absolutely, I was a hoe.
Okay.
But I was not following my religion.
And does that make you less of a man?
Yes, it does.
Okay. Well, because when you talk about it off camera, it makes it seem like you think it was a big swinging dick.
I'm going to tell you why. In the Quran, it says this.
Oh, my God.
Marriage is half a man's faith.
Okay.
You're half the man God makes you to be until you have a wife.
The only reason you care about this is because it's women banging multiple dudes.
No, it's a woman. It's a man watching another man bang his wife.
You're the one not telling.
Yelling that states don't have the tools to help with migrants, but rather than work with Democrats, Republicans are targeting communities of color in Democratic cities like Chicago, New York, and Philadelphia. And while they say that it's about Democrat-run cities, I do want to point out another similarity that they have. These are cities that are run by African Americans. So while I know that they love to pretend as if there are no racial undertones, it is just striking to me that we specifically are going after African American run cities.
In this round, here's Charles Big Angry Adams.
Initially, Quanell, I love the heat that Congresswoman Crockett brings on the daily. She makes very Instagrammable sound bites, but she couldn't, I think she's a wonderful Texas politician, but she couldn't be more wrong here. And I think she's knowingly and dishonestly wrong. What she is saying in that clip and in the whole thing is that Governor Abbott and Republican politicians here in Texas that are putting the illegal entrants onto buses and changing the national conversation, right? New York has canceled 3 police academy classes. They're spending billions of dollars to put illegals up in hotels where they're getting free food, free money, free everything, and they're kicking black Americans out of subsidized housing and entitlement programs because the costs are being overwhelmed. And she's blaming the Republicans, but the truth is, the simple truth is the Biden administration has let 12 million people enter this country illegally just in the last few years. That is more than the total population of 44 states. More than 12,000 people who are on terror watch lists have been caught entering in this country. You have tens of thousands of people want to talk about Central Latin America, from China, from Iran, coming into this country. People that we know intend to do this country harm, right? Not just these people coming to try to make America there. And I do think most immigrants are trying to build a better life. And I think most immigrants, I'm all for immigration. But Jasmine Crockett blaming Republicans is absolute nonsense, because the truth is, this is a Democrat issue. I don't think Republicans care about it because they want the market participants and they want the cheap labor. But this is a Biden problem. This is Biden has lied. He recently, his administration lied and blamed the state of Texas for drowning people, a mother and her 2 kids. Well, they only drowned because of the damn open border. And the Democrats need to turn around and look in their damn house. And as long as people like Jasmine Crockett are pushing this BS, it ain't going to get fixed.
Charles, let me say that Congresswoman Crockett, she was really making a valid point. What she was saying was that, why is it men like Governor Abbott, who wishes to share the burden that they're suffering on the southern border with the rest of the country across America, like New York, why are they busing these immigrants only to Democratic cities? And why Democratic cities that have black mayors? They're targeting Democratic cities, but targeting those with black mayors to send these immigrants to. And so she's speaking out against that. Why are they not busing these same immigrants to cities that have white mayors? Why they're not doing that? But they're busing them to black cities with black leadership, black councils, black mayors, and the Democrats. That's where they're sending them to. Let me say something to you that's very deep, though. And I heard some black scholars talk about the immigration issue last night, and I watched it on YouTube. and one of them said something that was very profound, and I kind of agree with him. He said the reason why the Democratic Party is not fighting to fix the border problem, they're letting so many immigrants come across the border under the guise that it's the Democratic leadership of this nation that's helping you. It's the Democratic leadership of this nation that's giving you your visa, that's not putting you in jail, that's not locking you up, that's not punishing you. We're releasing you into American cities, and we're going to help you with the pathway to citizenship, even if you came across the border illegally. That's what they say. But the idea is to overburden African-American cities and African-American neighborhoods, to force the reality that many Democrats see now, that many African-American youth are waking up. They're not supporting the Democratic Party like our mothers and fathers did. And so now there's TikTok videos out there where they're going and questioning random black men from all walks of life, saying, who do you support, Donald Trump or Biden? These black men are saying they support Trump. And these are black men from young as 18 to 60 from all different walks of life. The Democratic Party is afraid that millions of black people in the future will move away from the Democratic Party. So what they need to do is replace us. And they're attempting to use immigrants coming across the border as the new voting bloc for the Democratic Party because they see that they're losing their power and influence with us. And so that's why they're making it look like as though there's a beef between blacks and brown people coming across the border, and immigrants coming across that border in democratic cities with black leadership. But they want to replace black voters. And they can only replace us with a group that they feel they can mislead, they can lie to, and they can deceive like they did black voters for generations in that same Democratic
calling
Party.
Immigrants gullible and stupid, but you know it's crazy.
I'm not saying that.
What's
I'm
crazy,
saying they're being
you
exploited
talk for
and
like
taken
10 minutes.
advantage of.
What's crazy is the theory you just articulated. It mirrors the white replacement theory that a lot of white racists have been spitting out for years about how the Democrats are trying to replace white America by bringing in all these immigrants. Okay, and for you to say it and contextualize it within black Americans, because black Americans are most certainly, the poor black Americans are feeling the pain of displacement from entitlement programs, but even more glaringly, they're doing so much more for these illegal entrants, predominantly working age men who are refusing to get a job, even when they fast tracked like Venezuelans for work visas, only 6% of the population asked for those work visas, right? Because when you get free money and you get free food and you get put up in a Manhattan hotel, well, that all sounds, well, sign me the hell up, right? It all sounds pretty nice to me. But Jasmine Crockett was lying through her teeth because this is a Democrat issue, because the Democrats do fundamentally want to secure a voting bloc without having to change any of their socialist policies.
New voters?
Well, right.
Who are those new voters?
But if a white man says
because
it,
black
that's
people
racism.
Are waking
You're saying
up
it
to the
right.
party.
But they're only
and
waking
black
up.
Folks are
Why are they waking
that
up?
They've been deceived
because Governor
by that
Abbott
party.
is shifting,
and Governor Abbott damn sure ain't
immigrants.
waking us up. Many of our young African-American brothers and sisters see politics and politicians and political parties through totally different sets of lenses. They're not being as misled, ill-informed and misinformed as a lot of our older generation of African Americans were about the Democratic Party. They know the Republican Party doesn't have much love for black people at all, nor can we trust them. But they also see the same thing that we accuse the Republican Party of, that same thing is happening in the Democratic Party toward black people, just with a smiling face. But that smile is a frown turned upside down. So what they want to do, they got to find a whole new voting bloc, because they know 10 years from now or 12 years from now, that voting bloc of black people that they've always been able to own that vote, they no longer will own. So they got to keep themselves in power. They got to replace the losing black vote by the millions with others who are coming across the borders. And what they're going to do, they're going to try to make it much easier for them to vote. And that's how they're going to replace us, by making it easier for them to vote and not even be citizens.
Well, all right, Cornell. First of all, Jasmine Crockett, I think she's this wonderful Instagrammable congresswoman from Texas, and I think she makes a lot of good points. But here she was absolutely lying, and it was a partisan lie, right? It was white Republicans are intentionally sending immigrants to black-run cities. In fact, the truth is they're sending them to major sanctuary cities, but they're also sending them to small towns in the Northeast because those are the cities where the leadership, where the Democrats have said, hey, we need to have this open border. Hey, we need to be hey, bring me all of your immigrants, because Texas was paying the cost. This polycule, I really am shocked that my partner here, Quanell, is okay with men having multiple wives and multiple partners, but not okay with women doing the same, right? Because that's all rooted in misogyny. I think the whole thing's gross, right? I think it's not conducive to the building blocks of a society and having families. But of course, I also support gay marriage, which he is antagonistic to. I think people should be able to do what they want, but I'm also able to think that that stuff is absolutely disgusting. And, you know, I think the New York Magazine, well, they're just trying to get some attention, right? And that's really it. Joy Reid hates white people. And if there was a white person that hated black people, they wouldn't be allowed to be an anchor on a major network, right? It's absolutely obscene. It's insane, right? And any white person that said the kind of crap she said about black people, they should be fired. And frankly, Joy Reid should be fired.
You ain't never heard of Sean Hannity?
Bill O'Reilly, they don't say crazy stuff like her.
That's it for the Face-Off on Fox Soul. We'll catch you next time.